Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill Neyman's Bogus Hangout. Whenever our guests introduce themselves today, let's start with Zara.
What an original idea. Hi, everyone. My name is Zara Altair, and I write content for the web.
Steve, would you introduce yourself, please?
Steve Grinter with Deep SEO Conference.
And Terry?
Terry Van Horn, Toronto, Ontario, retired.
Corey, would you introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Koray Tuberkubur, and I am the owner and founder of Holistic SEO and Digital.
And I'm Bill Slavsky of SEO by the Sea and the Director of SEO Research for Go Fish Digital. Okay, so I got into an argument this week with somebody about critical thinking. And Terry sent out news today, and he ends one of his posts with, how's that go exactly? Say, how'd you phrase that? I liked it.
A what?
See, has all the critical thinking sucked out of the SEO industry?
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like,
And he says this to you?
you wrote this in today's news. And somebody gave me a hard time on Twitter because I insisted that you didn't need to know any SEO or any search to understand critical thinking.
Yeah.
And they said, if you don't read all the Google blogs and stuff like that, how are you going to know they're wrong? So because they're saying something stupid?
They are two different topics, actually. The critical thinking is...
You called my name? No, I'm just kidding. Hey, guys. Hey, Corey.
Hello.
They are two different topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't string a set of statements together that make a reasonable argument, you don't need to know any search to do that.
Yes.
You can be stupid in many other domains.
That's right. You can be a CEO.
Moz.com.
Yes. The other day, Bill, you actually shared a great article. It was saying 14 fallacies or 14 thinking errors or mistakes that we do. It was a great article, by the way. It actually encapsulates many things.
I read that. It was fantastic.
I had a college professor who taught us about logical fallacies.
Yes.
And I had some girl after the class show me her homework and say, what did I miss? And she's got fallacies spelled PHALLACIES. I said, you missed everything.
You guys want to hear something crazy? My fiance is tried to asked me to do all this work. I got my friend from immigration, who's head of immigration, or his father, sorry, is head of immigration, to move heaven and earth. And then she gets on a plane for the Dominican Republic when she has an appointment with them, goes to see her sister, misses the whole thing. Not logical thinking, but sorry, off topic.
I never really read Google Docs. I don't understand the people who need to read that stuff.
Because sometimes in the Google Docs, they explain things in a different way than how they actually are.
Right.
So you get schema on Speakable. And Google releases it 6 months earlier than Schema does and says you can only use it for news articles, whereas Schema says you can use it for anything. Mm-hmm. So if you want your Speakable schema to show up in Google, you do it their way.
Yeah.
And if you don't care whether or not Alexa reads your stuff, Cortana, you do it the way schema.org says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do read the Google Dev Docs. In other words, if they're telling you how they want something done, for instance, schema, I'll go by the book. But their guidelines and stuff, that's what I get paid to figure out. if you have to have Google spoon feed you all the answers, you're not an SEO. You're a Google SEO. And you'll only ever be as good as Google will allow you to be.
It's my belief that you apply skepticism, serious skepticism to everything, even something Google publishes.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of even you, Bill. I'm skeptical of everybody. That's how you learn. You ask questions. If you're skeptical, you ask questions.
I tell people be skeptical of everybody, including me.
Yes. Even think twice about some of the stuff you figure out yourself. Don't think you're a genius.
Critical thinking is important. Yeah.
You stay open that way to everything.
Everybody has it within themselves to say something stupid.
Oh, yeah. I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's my second language.
It's one of my skills.
It's one of my aptitudes. Yes.
That's how, like when most of us here started doing SEO, there were no tools. And, someone actually from a search engine company telling you how to do anything was unheard of.
Well, one of my first days of actually trying to do SEO, I accidentally wandered into an SEO forum, and it was an argument over what the proper percentage of keyword density should appear in different niches. And I said, these people are too stupid for me to stay here.
Yeah.
What was the year, by the way? Yeah.
This was in the 1990s.
See, back then you could have 100% on Alta Vista. You just put the keyword phrase on a page and you were number one. You could actually do that.
I was in the school that time, so.
Those were the days, believe me.
I can imagine.
Alta Vista was good because you could change everything, resubmit the URL, and see where you ranked. If you didn't rank number one, you just change it again and resubmit it.
Yeah, InfoSeek would even tell you what you did wrong.
Interesting. I didn't have that chance to work with Alta Vista, actually. I wonder.
Those were the good old days. No, because you know what? Build it and they will come was actually true.
Yeah, it's kind of accurate.
It's still true with Google.
Oh yeah, they'll come, but it don't mean you're going to be in the listings.
Well, you submit something through Google Search Console, and you can get up there into the top 3 or 4 pretty easily.
These days?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ranking 3 or 4 out of 9 million things. Yeah.
Oh, you can still ask Googlebot to go index things now?
In Google Search Console, you can ask it to index things, and then you can check to see whether or not you're indexed right afterwards.
Okay. I thought they stopped that where you could actually.
They have put a limit.
Rendered, etc.
Yeah, they have put just a limit. I guess it was 11 times a day. You can request it from the Google Search Console, but from indexing API, it's way much more, maybe around 2,000 or something.
Yeah, the index API was just released, right?
Yeah, 11 times a day is actually tires you out.
If there's an index API for Google, why do we need index now?
The indexing API of Google is actually just for the news websites a little bit, if they have a kind of video object. And also it is for broadcasting and a little bit the job posting. But at the same time, I know some SEOs that use it for regular pages, and Google still also index them too. So it's illegal, but it works.
I like having it in Screaming Frog.
Yes.
Because you can tell when things are indexed or not.
Yeah.
From there.
Spotify or OnCrawl is a great tool as well for that. read a lot of great articles on that site.
Yep. I like them.
They're excellent. I've been using them for years. I bought their.
But okay, it tells you it was indexed, right? But does it tell you if it's in the supplemental index?
It gives you the statement about crawled but not indexed or something like that.
Webmaster Tools.
Right. Google didn't like your canonical.
Something went wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of sites have very, very thin content or just pages that add up to nothing when it comes to value for the end user that don't get indexed.
You go into the supplemental index for so many reasons.
But Google doesn't even use the word supplemental index.
Well, they don't want people to know that it still exists. There's so many people who don't even realize that it does still exist. Just look and see how many Google pages Google says they've indexed, and then go and do a site search on your site. You'll find that there's quite a few pages that are indexed that are not going into the results.
It sounds a lot like the discussion we had a few minutes ago before the show started about CSS colors.
Oh,
they're not a ranking signal.
yeah, okay.
Except according to the random surfer model, the color of fonts on a page do matter.
They do. It has for years. It's been it helps with SEO, just like bolding and.
If it increases the probability that somebody's going to click on a link, it's a ranking signal.
Yeah, for me, anything in copy that stands out, right, that you do so that a user scanning the page easily identifies it, that probably also helps your ranking on that page.
Font size, font color, font type, they all matter.
Oh,
yeah, that's why in the question where they said, does it matter if it's in the CSS? I thought to me, how fucking stupid are you? Like, come on, do you know how things work or not? You make us all look like we're rank amateurs who don't have a clue what we're doing. Fortunately, that is
only true that's half the case. Yeah. It's good having somebody say something to rail against.
I've been railing against that for years.
So we've got buzzing again.
Yeah, that was happening before I entered, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Good. I thought we were private, by the way, when I started talking about something non-search related. No,
as they taught us in law school, we had mock trials, and the person in charge of it said, "This is a point to remember. When you're on stage, you're always on stage, even when you're not the person talking."
Well said.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
It's hard.
My problem is all through college, whenever I was on stage, I was taking my clothes off.
Whoa.
What stages were you on?
The ones on the other side of the tracks. Hey, for college, man.
So somebody was complaining on Twitter that they weren't ranking anymore. And they gave a link to their site, and halfway down the page, it's got this little Google badge, as if showing that they were affiliated with Google in terms of SEO.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, the folks at Google probably like that a lot.
Yeah. I think if you break the terms of that badge, they probably do pull you out of the results.
It's not something that says we're Google PVC partners or something like that. It's like we're Google partners.
Right.
Yeah, there are those out there.
Yep.
The
So
Google
if
Partner
you can
Program.
get penalized, that's probably one reason why.
Probably the reason why, because they've said in the past they'll pull you if you do that.
Oh, putting that on your site's not a good thing.
But that's not new by any means.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that almost since that partner program came out.
And it's always bugged me, the statements like as seen in Forbes, CNN, Newsweek.
I think that's okay to say if it's real.
It's bullshit.
Okay.
If you're not actually quoting the person, you're lying about what they said. And if you are actually quoting the person, you're providing hearsay because you're not providing the context of how they said it.
So if you say that your site was discussed about in like Wall Street Journal and you put it on your site, you think that's a...
Have you ever heard me blog or write about how my site was discussed in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal?
I haven't, no.
It has been.
I believe you. No, I know. But
I had a site that was in the curriculum of the universities.
I was following the assignment database, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and noticed that IBM assigned 1,000 patents to Google. So I wrote a blog post and said, here are the 15 most important of those. And got quoted in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and about 200,000 other places that link back to me.
so I don't see a ethical dilemma with that. I don't think that you're misleading people.
When you don't tell them why, when you just write as seen on TV,
Right.
Okay.
then you're a dog.
Okay.
But I have been on TV. And I have been on radio.
I have been on TV. I have my own radio show. Yeah.
It's seen all over the internet.
Exactly.
It's not on my site though. Oh.
I mean, there's a reason why there's a whole schema section called same as, for you to, say that this profile and this profile and this profile all over the internet, these are all me.
So if you're Michael Jackson, who was the head of Homeland Security, you're not the king of pop.
No, that's where schema fails, because it should have also an option for not me.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Because I mean, my name is very, very unique name. But where I used to live, there was another guy in town with the exact same name, exact same spelling, and we were not related in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
So I had a site audit for a client who was named by 3 of the biggest cable carriers of the United States, and their icon appeared on every Android phone in the United States, and they named themselves before some paramilitary troop organization in the Middle East came out.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, we're not that ISIS.
Oh, I remember you telling me that. That's
Hey,
so bad.
I watched that TV show back
Bad
in
luck.
Almighty ISIS. She was cute. It gets a little frustrating with some of these terms and symbols, and it's how deep of a discussion do you want to have with somebody to explain what they're seeing as something bad isn't. And depending on what article they read first, they're already predisposed to one opinion or another.
That's the worst. Is when people just come in and they're like, I read this from some guy, and you're like, who? And they don't tell you. They're like, but he said. And it's like, no, doesn't count.
And you start going through your own search results and you find one that's about you, but it's not really about you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and you get clients remarking about it.
This is where reputation management comes in handy.
Yeah,
For
so
billboards.
I buried that sucker till it was on page 6 or 7,
Yeah.
and the guy gave up. He just removed it.
I get literally 14 calls a day for billboards every single day from some other blueprint marketing. And if I got in the billboard business, I think I'd be doing well. But yeah, but I agree completely. Reputation management is crucial. I have, especially when it comes to sites like government sites and things like that that put up warnings or past issues that have happened. Those are really hard to remove.
It seems like some people are afraid of taking proactive responses to that type of thing, though.
Yes, they are very afraid. They have predisposed ideas as to what's going to happen.
Say, no, you can't do that. Can't do what? Can't let the idiots win?
Well said. Yeah.
Client asked me about that reputation management. I just said, just don't do stupid shit.
Well, they probably already did if they.
Well, yeah, but you run into an issue where somebody with the same name does stupid shit. Now, what do you
You can't take lessons from Henry Kissinger or Eric Schmidt. They say things like that. Unfortunately, sometimes the people saying stupid shit have the same name as you.
That's true.
That's why I'm super lucky to have such a strange name.
Well, a lot of businesses don't have that trouble, though.
Yeah, I am lucky for that too.
Yeah, it's a good thing because imagine being Mr. Smith, like everyone would. Yeah,
Which
bad.
Well, it makes it easy to defend, too. Oh, that's a different guy.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, wasn't me.
There's a William Slosky who writes in South Africa.
Really?
No relation. There's a doctor named Slosky in Chicago. He's not in my family.
There's a Wolfgang Zickel with one L in Germany, and then I forgot his first name, but another Zickel with two L's in Germany who's a TV star. So they're not related, but that's my claim to fame.
There's a Wolfgang Slosky who's a child author. He's not Dr. Seuss.
That's pretty cool.
it also happens for Barry Schwartz. There is one more. Barry Schwartz. He was in university, a psychologist or something.
Right.
It's also hard because he's famous.
He's a good psychologist.
He takes up
Yeah.
the SERPs.
Yeah.
That happened to my fiance. Basically, someone with the exact same spelling, Dennis Duke. Just took off. Yeah.
You look up Danny Sullivan, you look at the knowledge panel, it's a NASCAR driver.
Yep. He does that. No.
So Barry Schwartz says, sorry, Danny, look up my name. It's a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
I actually benefit a lot because my father has like 70 plus patents. I only have 2. So people think that I have all these patents that I have the same name as my father, a different middle initial. So people make assumptions that I was like doing patents in the 80s or something. And I wasn't.
So there was an article on Google passage ranking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was co-authored by somebody at Google.
Yeah.
Can you optimize for passage ranking?
I believe no, because I guess passage ranking is for the pages that are not optimized for SEO properly. because imagine that you have a kind of web page, but web page doesn't have a proper context. It might have multiple different contexts without a proper structure, like prose type content in Stephen
but can't you add context by picking smart page titles or
Yeah, you can
headings?
create it. But the thing is, I believe passage ranking is a kind of algorithm that can be triggered like this. Imagine that you have a high information retrieval score.
So
Then
it's small table SEO for the kids in the corner.
The kids table? No, I think he was explaining it right though.
But it's like we've come up with an SEO method for SEOs who aren't very good at SEO.
Yeah.
Well, they straightened out the name too. It was improperly first called passage indexing,
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with indexing. So they changed it to passage.
Well, they did come out with 5 or so patents about passage indexing that were actually really good.
Yeah.
And they could help you optimize content better for passages.
The ones for the candidate passage answers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think when they were calling it indexing, Bill, that was actually pulling the passage from the page. That's the indexing part. But then it's used differently when they rank it, I believe.
Maybe they include the term ranking internally with also indexing. So we think that indexing is just taking the content and putting.
I watched the video, but it was last week, and I'm 68. My message not that good. Man.
Okay. I believe this question has been asked by Cindy Crum first time. She also asked that, why do you call it indexing? Actually, it is ranking. There was another webinar with Martin Shiplet, Cindy Crum, and some others.
That may be where he realized there's a misunderstanding in the community.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yes. They changed the name like that.
Point of making the point that it's not an indexing thing, it's a ranking thing.
And the candidate answer passages patents do refer specifically to anchor text as a potential heading to add context to some results. But that's the answer. That's a passage indexing approach again.
Right. They probably also would use a heading in the same way as like a link as well, I think, Bill, possibly.
As anchor text in a link? Yeah. To give
or
context.
Instead of, as using it in determining context, they would use that like a link as well.
And they refer to titles as root headings.
Yes. Root of the document.
That's pretty close to the HTML spec, too. If you look at the, I forget what version it was where I read this a long time ago. It basically said that the H1 was like a headline, and H2 was a sub-headline, and then you had H3 was a block.
And this reminds me of an early student of mine I mentored in SEO. He had been a HTML coder, translating Photoshop pictures into web pages, and he knew a lot about HTML. And every once in a while, I'd catch him banging himself in the head with his fist, slapping himself.
Teach him that,
saying, "It's so obvious. Why didn't I get it?"
I did that. I worked for a real estate company where I took their brochures and all their advertising and basically turned it into HTML on the thing. Won a few awards for it and stuff.
Yeah.
I was actually pretty good at that shit at one point.
He was taking the FAA website and making them accessible.
Oh yeah, government.
Doesn't sound painful? Yeah.
Yeah. You know who else does that? McKernan, the guy we worked with on that one organization. He works for the Canadian government. I felt like sending him a few emails, I'll tell you that much. Oh, they had a thing where for the revenue agency, you had to log in and they had a secret number that they mailed to you that was only good for 2 weeks. Oh, it was maddening. And you follow the instructions in the email they sent you, and the fucking words they were using that were supposedly on the page weren't even there. So the instructions weren't even describing the page that you were on.
Have you ever used software that came with security dongles?
Yeah, not fun.
You'd pay like $50 for the program and $5,000 for the dongle.
It's true.
So kind of like printers where they give you a printer so you buy the ink.
And the program doesn't work without having dongles.
The dongle.
I think the most I've ever seen was 7 of them daisy chained together. Out of the back of a guy's computer, there were 7 of them. They put a little support to hold it up because he had an upright desktop.
Yeah.
And so it kept wanting to drop and fall off.
I was working with court transcribers. They had the stenography machine hooked up to laptops, which had dongles in the end, so the software would work.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember one of my friends working at UBS and having, to have like, instead of what you basically just a little dongle that creates a code, you could read off of it and stuff and have to log in. Nothing. If he lost it, I think he got docked a huge amount of pay for exactly what it was, but it was not pretty.
They were expensive.
Yeah.
I did SEO for a company that made security dongles. I loved their approach to SEO because they were like the 3rd ranking security dongle company. So they bought the 2nd ranking security dongle company. Then 6 months later, they bought the 1st ranking security dongle company. All of a sudden, they were number 1. I like that approach.
So, Bill, what is your next article? I really wonder.
My next what?
Next article.
We talking about the patent we were discussing?
Is it about that?
That's
The
probably
entity-attribute relations.
It's about entity-attribute relationships.
Nice one.
And it's funny because it combines a couple of different concepts. One of them it adds is the thought of using vectors to understand the meanings of words and how they tend to co-occur with other words.
Yeah.
So you're trying to understand whether a certain attribute goes with a certain entity. So you look at the vectors behind them to see if they're words that tend to appear together frequently.
Yeah.
And if they tend to show off often, they're often co-occurring terms, there's a good chance they may be related.
As an attribute.
In the documents, they would be at least anyhow, if you were comparing them to documents. And that's the important thing, actually, is the co-occurrences in those 2 documents. The rest don't matter, as Bill would say.
So you have Barack Obama appearing in hundreds of documents on the web with Hillary Clinton. They're not married.
Competitors, maybe.
But you have Barack Obama appearing in hundreds of pages with Michelle Obama. They are married.
So I guess they create a kind of co-occurrence matrix. And when we have Michelle Obama, we also have the word spouse or wife or husband.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Hillary Clinton, we have other words that don't appear when Michelle Obama is there.
Like debate or something like that.
Or ambassador, whatever it was she.
It changes from year to year.
So I like that approach, saying that they're looking at that type of thing. They're disambiguating.
Yeah. And they can also create a kind of timeline for the life of real world entity, because their titles, their attributes, they also change. And they also variate over time. For instance, we die, or we have children, we marry, we change things, and we also change.
All in the
Some
knowledge
entities have multiple roles and multiple jobs. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is sometimes the kindergarten cop, and he's sometimes the Terminator, and they're nothing alike.
Well, sometimes.
They don't know Arnold Schwarzenegger, the actor character from the real guy who was the governor.
The
Yeah.
governor.
The
The
governor.
I've been doing a little work on that, the co-occurrence stuff.
Yeah.
They were mentioning, I found a few articles that were about vectors and co-occurrence, and very interesting.
I wrote one on context vectors.
That was a great article.
I guess
Thank you.
It was from David C. Tyler, the context vectors. It was also a patent, I believe, in Google. David C. Tyler, as I can remember.
The guy who wrote the universal search patent.
It should be. He also has written the document representations. It was also relevant to vectors. Basically, they try to choose specific words to express entire context, like war or like a specific war. They just find a kind of representation of the long article with.
I think he chose some words that might confuse some SEOs.
It might be.
He refers to domain topics.
Yeah.
And a domain means an area of expertise,
Right.
but it also means a URL.
And an SEO would think it's a URL, not a...
Usually, that's why I use the term knowledge domain to prevent that confusion while talking.
Smart.
And if he had done that in the patent, it would have been a better patent.
But then what will we argue about?
Well, we need somebody to ask John Mueller, what's this domain term stuff?
No.
Do you think that John would be able to answer that?
Well, and Barry will cover it.
Right or wrong? You don't
Yeah,
get
but that doesn't mean John would answer it. Right, he only answers the dumb. John's probably sitting up there laughing at all of it. Look at these guys eating this bullshit up.
No cheese
I
in sight.
understand John very well, because around here we have a rule that you don't ask me a question that you don't want me to answer, because whether I know the answer or not, I'm going to give you an answer. And sometimes it's pretty accurate, and sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm just saying something to shut you up and make you move away.
Move along.
Interesting. They also don't use the term page rank anymore in the Hangouts. It's like a forbidden word. You
I
can
used
say
it the other day and got yelled at. I can attest to that.
Which word?
Page rank.
Page rank.
the Googlers, they try to not use it.
What's wrong with PageRank?
It's
And
like
why does Peter Norvig hate PageRank?
it's like saying invasion in Russian media. It's also forbidden to say. So they try to hide it, I guess.
Well, they like to think that it's not very important anymore. And
We're not invading Ukraine. We're not invading Ukraine. We're taking a tour of the 40-mile-long convoy.
Mm.
We're doing everything.
A Sunday trip. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
man, the way they're lined up, if there was able to fly planes, there'd be a lot of rubble on the road, man. It's perfect for just running a straight line. And
We had that conversation yesterday about, a pair of A-10s fully armed.
Yeah.
This would be over quick.
Every fourth or fifth one is a fuel truck.
yeah.
So the ghost of
They
Ukraine,
explode really well.
Mm-hmm.
and that guy's taken out he's almost a double ace now in 4 or 5 days. And he's flying a very subpar plane compared to the ones he's up against. So they're not. They're not confirmed, but all of them. But makes for a good story, I guess.
Well, that's something that's desperately needed over there is good stories.
Yeah, you got to keep morale up. Absolutely.
I don't think it's just morale.
Well, they've actually they've been winning on the ground lately. I mean, I know today had some horrific.
They have fucking fortitude.
Yeah.
When you stand there in front of a tank and say "fuck you" as they're going by,
Yeah.
you got guts.
Yeah.
I was really happy that the Snake Island Navy guys who said
Yeah.
"fuck you, Russian warship" survived.
I watched a video. I probably shouldn't be bringing this up on here, but I'll say a tank went out of its way to run over an automobile going the other direction. That type of thing. Yeah, it's just
It swerved to hit it. It wasn't inadvertent. It was deliberate.
100% deliberate to kill civilians, and they had to try to pry the person out. I don't think it was successful, but that type of stuff. I mean, what are they? Hopefully they'll find the tank driver and put him up on war crimes after. As a student of history, this is unbelievable to me that we're actually allowing this to go on this far. If we had occupied Ukraine, not to get off subject at all, and actually forced Russia to actually think they'd fight the United States and NATO, I think they would have backed off.
Guy's been in COVID protocol for 2 fucking years.
Yeah, we know where his house is. We should send him a letter with a warhead on the top of it.
Oh, the guy's nuts.
No, he's pretty crazy.
You're nuts.
But we know where he is. So that's that. I mean, I'm surprised he's still amongst the breathing.
He's out of touch.
Hopefully for good soon.
Yeah,
I think some of his own soldiers are even nuts.
He's a megalomaniac.
Yes.
Yeah, but the Russian soldiers, I'm positive, don't really want to fight this war. Ukrainians were part of Ukraine has been part of the Soviet Union, and they've been, like brothers for years. So
Definitely.
I wouldn't say brothers, but I definitely agree with you. The fact that they don't want to fight it.
Yeah,
There are many vehicles actually. They leave. They just leave the tanks. They leave some other war equipments or vehicles.
We're out of fuel.
Yeah,
We're going on
sometimes
a training mission.
yeah, in Ukraine.
We get a
With real guns.
we get a custom-made Winnebago. We're going to drive around Ukraine.
Imagine that Putin was saying that all thing was just exercising with our brothers. You just exaggerate all these things. Do not create a drama. It was an exercise. And we were trying to improve our skills with our brother. And
they are, it's amazing some of the stuff.
Well, I don't think he thought it through because the sanctions are going to go on for years past.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What was that about critical thinking?
Yeah. Right.
You don't need to know a single thing about SEO or search to be a tough guy.
Yeah. So
I think the Swift code blockage, all the. I mean, I really hope that I'm proud of the Russian citizens who are actually having the guts to go against Putin. That takes guts. In all honesty, it really does. But I'm really saddened by the fact that this is actually happening in today's world.
You see 50,000 or 60,000 people in Georgia protesting the war, and you wonder how they get that many cells to lock them up.
Yeah, I know. It's brilliant thinking, right?
I believe all these regions remember the days from the Soviet Union. Actually, they all rebelled many times, but Russia always found a way to crush them. And to be honest, of course, we respect Russia too, but a big portion of Russia is actually not Russia. There are many other states there, like Chechnya or Tatarstan, Yakut,
Georgia,
and Abkhazia, Dagestan, or Adige. There are many sub-states in Russia. In a way, Russia finds a way to Russification or Russianization all these societies, and now they claim that Ukraine is also Russia and Russian. They are similar but different. And I believe they will also say the same thing for Poland next, Georgia also, or even Azerbaijan. It will continue like that.
Bringing back the Soviet Union is definitely what they want, and it's such a crazy idea. At least for someone from the West who grew up, with Soviet Union, I can't even fathom them.
He's just gambling that the United States won't send troops there. That's what he's gambling. Same with NATO, that NATO won't send troops. So he won't touch any NATO countries, but he'll go all
threatening
around.
to. That's crazy in its own.
If he goes against NATO, then he's United States. Everybody's done.
Yeah, well, I don't think that he'll actually go against NATO in the way that you're talking, like nuclear weapons or something like he's threatening to, which isn't very bright.
Hey, as soon as he even goes into one country that is NATO,
it's over,
he's done. That he broke the rules. He's done. They got it.
Because he'd never break the rules.
No. But, the agreement between NATO countries is as soon as you invade one, you invaded them all.
Right. So it'll be a huge ground war, but it won't be.
It should be like that, but
that's why when Trump was good buddies with Putin, why do you think he wanted to steer the United States away from NATO? That's why.
I'm not going to give you $50 million for weapons. Why? I don't like you. You won't blackmail Joe Biden.
How'd that work out for him?
Not too good.
Well, they ended up getting the weapons, though.
Yeah.
Trump, I'll give this much to Trump. He gave the Ukrainians weapons when Obama wouldn't. And that was because Obama thought that the Ukrainians would use them on the Russians. So they didn't want to harm them.
He learned some lessons from Afghanistan.
Yeah. Well, I think he realized that Ukraine was done with them. You know what I mean? Like, he tries to push his weight around that whole, region. Walks in and takes part of the country, Crimea. Now they should drive him out of Crimea and say, you're not coming back. See you later. Take it all back from them. Make Russia so puny. Can't do that.
So they have a gas station in Russia?
Oh, yeah. Europe's gas station, unfortunately.
They got a big one, but they don't know how to get the oil out of the ground.
Are you allowed to pump your own gas?
Yeah, I think it's mandatory. I think it's the only option there. Oh gosh, yeah. It's I mean, I have my fiance is Ukrainian, you know, so her full family is went to the airport in Ivano-Frankivsk, about to get on a plane, and the airport blew up right before they got there, hit by a missile. It was right at the beginning of the war.
I have
So-
also some. Sorry, Bill, you say.
I was going to raise the point that John Mueller was saying something about websites with blogs. Should a website have a blog?
Depends on the website.
Yeah, is it e-commerce?
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, a blog can help a lot.
It might help for certain cases, but it's not an obligation, actually. It depends on the purpose of the website. What do you think, Bill?
Well,
I mean,
there's
I know-
blogs and then there's interesting blogs. If you're going to do a blog, do an interesting one.
If you're Google, have a blog. If you're OkCupid, have a blog. If you're Twitter, maybe not.
One of my business associates in the jewelry industry, he's not a jeweler, he's not selling jewelry retail, and he went ahead and did away with his website entirely and just writes long form posts on Facebook about twice a week, and that has become his website. He gets all his clients from there, and you know, he writes some very cool and interesting stuff, and it's very rarely about jewelry.
Have you used the marketplace on Facebook yet, Steve?
Yeah, I've used it. I've sold some farm equipment and stuff on there.
You can,
Really? Your own stuff, like?
You can sell stuff on there. You're not just giving stuff away.
No, not only am I selling stuff, I'm getting more than I asked for it because several people show up at the same time. I'm not stupid. I know how to play the game.
Is this
That's a bidding war.
is this a Tennessee thing?
I don't know. It's not been a problem for me. I mean, I list stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and it's usually sold before I can get it listed on Craigslist. So,
I got some retro consoles for a few things I'm thinking of selling.
oh, well, just put them in a box and send them to me, and I'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, because nobody likes old Ataris or Colecos.
No.
Yeah, I got both, I think, and box of games too.
Oh, yeah, that would be horrible. Yeah, you don't want to mess.
Some of those $20,000.
I don't play those games, but I basically was willed all this stuff or whatever.
The mythical game consoles and games that give you magical powers.
Yeah.
Those are expensive. Yeah.
What are two of these made?
My neighbors across the street had a game. I had no idea what it was like. This is like 12 years ago or something. But one of the magical powers was they had these colored circles that went around them. And I always wanted one of those. You know, you just wherever you go. That looked cool.
It sounds like something straight out of Dune.
I have no idea what it was. I don't play games, and so the online games. So yeah, but every time I'd come over, he'd be, you know, fighting monsters or whatever. But there were these circles that went around. So when
And
you
did
travel,
he
circles
actually
went around you? What
did he actually glow?
did he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would come in and watch him playing and talk to his wife.
So, anyone see any huge flux coming in? What do you guys predict for Google in the next 6 months happening? Anything really, really big that will impact the search industry?
More natural language processing.
It's a good thing, though. Yeah. Yes,
I
please.
found out, did some searches the other day, and you can actually get, if you put a website and a keyword without using the site operator, it'll list every page that has that term on it on a website. You no longer have to use the site thing. So basically, when you put a website address in a search in a query, it automatically counts it as a navigational search of that site.
Isn't that how people from Reddit were claiming that you now had to search because Google's broken otherwise?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the only people saying that are people from Reddit.
Yeah. But you can actually, they are true. It is true. You can do that. I was amazed by it. Do it. It works. Believe me. People in the comments I was seeing in the Twitter feed was, the guy doesn't even, he's using a site operator, and he wasn't. He was just putting the keyword in the search bar.
He was getting good results that just happened to include that additional term.
Yeah, all from Reddit. Nowhere else, just from Reddit. So he said, oh, people are just going to Google now, putting in Reddit and the term they're looking for. Because the search on Reddit is probably no good.
No, and the SEO isn't either.
Well, I don't think they care about it. They probably bask in how bad it is.
They have a GeoCities type SEO.
Yeah. In other words, we don't care. We're so big, we'll rank regardless. So, that's one of the advantages to being a destination. And just kind of like brand search. Oh, you just got it, did you, Steve?
Yep. Jason Bernard's new book. No, this is Jason Bernard's. Never hurts to read what somebody else did.
Knowledge panel.
Yep. Knowledge panels are becoming a big freaking deal for a lot of places these days.
Well, if you're a brand, it takes up the top of the search, so you dominate your own brand page that way. But that also goes for me and Bill did some work on knowledge panels. I figured out how you get knowledge panels from several different places, not just from Wikipedia, but as soon as you go into, what is it called now? Google Profile Manager?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, GPM or whatever they're calling it these days.
Business profile, I believe.
Yeah.
I think they got a guy, and his job is just to rename everything every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Google Search Central, like.
Have you tried
that
Google?
way they always rank number one because they're making up new terms.
Have you tried Google Wave yet? Or should I say Slack?
My biggest problem, like with Wikipedia, when they get something wrong, getting it undone is nearly impossible. Because Google will always take them as the primary source, and you go in and try to edit or fix, but they'll know. When Wikipedia decide they've got an answer for something and they're wrong, there's no convincing them they're wrong.
Yeah, well, the guy who writes it is the guy who manages that page, isn't it? That might be why it's hard to get him to change it.
There's a certain level of DMOZ editor involved in being a Wikipedia writer.
Yeah, Doc's one I know. He can fill us in on it sometime. I think he's a rare breed, though. You can't buy him.
Well, it gives you the power to be able to tell other people they're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, apparently only John Mueller has that.
Don't pick at John. John's okay.
Yeah, I like John.
I was saying it sarcastically.
Oh,
In other words, people in the SEO community wouldn't believe it unless John said that.
there needs to be a John in search. I mean, it's a long history that goes way back beyond Google guy.
From the World Webmaster Forum? The Google guy.
The Google guy was likely Matt Cutts,
Yeah.
but not necessarily always Matt Cutts.
Yeah, because there used to be a couple of guys who did that, I think.
And then Matt started showing that he was brighter than a lot of them by doing things like having his wife bake cookies for people who helped him hunt down porn.
Mm-hmm.
I think Google wanted someone that they could trot out in front of us too and say, you know, this is the guy.
Yeah. Matt had a special gift for that job. He
Yeah.
was amazing at it. But I also understand why he had to leave, because the other half of his job sucked.
I couldn't do it. I did it for 3 years, looking at ugly sites and spam sites and garbage for years when Dave and I were cleaning up stuff and doing the penalty work. That's why I eventually just said, I don't want to look at this stuff.
That's why I didn't like doing link analysis.
Or cleanup's even worse. Oh, you see some real, like, what were you thinking for even having, like, you deserve to get penalized if you're taking these links. I mean, really, come on.
You're publishing these self-author bios? Seriously? Sometimes that stuff just really isn't filled with good ideas. Google internal SEO experts hosting SEO workshop.
I'm real scared. Oh, you know, I'm scared.
Sometimes you see a webinar announced where you say, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, this ain't one of them.
And then sometimes you see a webinar announced where you say, that's a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Those are the best ones. I enjoy a good train wreck.
He's the engineer of that train wreck, by the way. Often.
No, I might be the switch operator.
Okay.
Let's just redirect this train onto this track and see what happens.
Yeah, there's some people who just like stirring controversy.
Oh, that's not sweet at all.
No. I've been nicer lately. I've actually been offering productive and accurate answers to questions. It's weird.
Oh, you can ask a question. Oh, okay, I got a rabbit hole for you.
I still answer questions with more questions, though. Try to get people to think critically.
Yeah.
So be careful about doing that because sometimes you just piss people off when you do it.
Yeah, you do.
They don't like to be told. You might learn more if you figure it out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of gave up caring what other people think a very long time ago.
Yeah, me too.
Terry too.
I care less.
I love it when crazy people stand there and scream at me.
It reminds me of when I was walking through Washington, D.C., and there's some guy standing in front of the IRS building yelling at us.
Just screaming at the building.
Said to myself, boy, he's having a bad day.
Yeah.
And we're past the top of the hour.
Yep.
So anybody have one last thing to say?
Yes.
Other than have a good day. Thank you.
Ticket sales for Deep SEO Con are now available. Super early bird special. Save $700.
Woohoo!
Tickets include your room and include all the food. So go to deepseoconference.com.
Where is it again? In Mexico?
We're going to have the conference in Ensenada, Mexico.
Ensenada.
And you need a passport.
Yes. If you only if you
Yeah,
want
I think you do now.
Yeah, I can't even fly over the United States. So kind of out of the question for me.
They have inexpensive tequila.
Yes.
Is there going to be fishing this year?
There will be fishing, and there will be a wine and tequila tour, and 2 days of brilliant people speaking. And we're staying at a 5-star resort. It's going to be awesome.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does. Okay, well, I'll see y'all now. Take care. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.